Hello everybody, we are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo, this is my forever co-host Jum. And today, well, for this week, we'll be celebrating along with Disney for its 100th anniversary since its foundation, with some classic and underrated movies. We already did The Lion King and Aladdin and Little Mermaid all the way back at the beginning of this year because of the live action Little Mermaid, which is the perfect time to do those. And now, since it's Disney's 100th anniversary, we thought we'd talk about the lesser ones, or the lesser loved ones, apparently.
I find it weird because we didn't do a review on the live action one.
That's true, but we're rarely on time.
Okay, alright.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about some animated movies that some consider lesser than the three I mentioned: Lion King, Aladdin, and Little Mermaid, because those are considered like Disney's golden age and or Renaissance, and these ones are just
Silver, Bronze Age kind of deal.
And like they're alright movie era.
How dare you?
It depends on the.
I guess because we grew up on it, like, this one was our Disney when we were children. It was all the magic that was coming into our eyes.
Yeah.
But like, if saying that they're lesser than, I disagree.
Yeah,
especially with the one we're talking about right now, which is Hercules, and that shit is goated.
Yeah, I have a couple of relatives who are like, or know people who are like, yeah, Hercules and Mulan, they're alright. I was like, it really depends on the generation you grew up with.
Hercules was the first Captain America.
Actually, I've read some articles on Hercules, but we'll get to those when we get to that.
Yeah, we know he's an asshole in real life.
No, like, what story inspired this version of Hercules?
Okay.
But yeah, did you watch this as a kid, home or theater?
Home. I don't think I was comprehending life yet when this came out.
Yeah, according to my mom, this is the first movie I watched at a theater, but I can barely remember it, and she told me that makes sense because you're just running up and down the stairs. So I was like, oh, okay.
You just see little Enzo just throw up from exhaustion, just like in the theater.
So wow, so many cars. But yeah, I remember watching this fondly every evening when Disney would still like show movies, like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. our time.
9. It's always at 9.
Yeah. I remember because beyond that, I was like, oh, it's your bedtime. I was like, but I just finished the movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Disney Chat, like we would watch Nickelodeon once we get home from school.
Yeah.
Cartoon Network for dinner, and then Disney Channel for like once the night's about to end, because that's when we know, a movie's gonna come out. That's like appropriate for us.
Yeah.
Because HBO is showing like Heat, and we can't watch that yet.
No, we can barely comprehend it unless you catch Jurassic Park and you're like, yeah, that's made for me.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
But yeah, I have fond memories of this one, and as I grew up, I, learned more about Greek mythology and the reality of Hercules. I'm like, oh, okay, truly is Disneyfied.
Yeah, like a mixture of our childhood was like, wow, Hercules, and like the next thing you know, we're Kratos and we're ripping his head off, and like,
yeah, and you're like, oh, Hercules. You learn that Hercules murdered his family in the real myth of the story.
Okay, anyway, yeah.
Oh. He froze in trauma. I don't know what to do.
Oh god, wait, hold on. Am I good?
You're good. You're good now.
Okay.
But yeah, the story starts with the birth of Hercules and all the gods in Olympus, and a certain jealous god named Hades wanting to be in Olympus, but he can't because he's assigned to the underworld forever because Zeus banish them here, and he's like,
for no good reason either.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, and that's where we get the iconic voice of James Woods as Hades, and he's been Hades, as far as I can remember, in a lot of Disney animated shows, like the Hercules cartoon, like he's Hades and
House of
Mouse, and Kingdom Hearts.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even though his political views are very questionable, his performance is pretty good.
Oh yeah. I can't. When you think of Hades, in my head, James Woods' voice comes.
Yeah.
I can never hear him as Was the name of the guy who played Voldemort in the
Ralph
Clash of
Ralph
Titans?
Fiennes.
Yeah, yeah. Like, sure, he's Hades, but I'm like, he ain't my James Woods. You know,
Yeah. And because of the jealousy, he sends his minions Pain and what was that? I don't panic to poison.
Pain. Yeah.
Yeah, poison Hercules, make him mortal so he can be killed, but it fails, and he's found by these two farmers. And like growing up, I was like,
Sounds very familiar.
yeah. And you look up articles online, and you're like, huh, that's funny because the myth of Hercules inspired the creators of Superman, and now the story of Superman is inspiring the story of this Hercules.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. And like nobody wants to be with Hercules or like be around him because he causes untold amounts of damage to like property and other things. And they're like, your boy is cursed. And he has the question of what Superman asked his father of like, am I really part of this world? And like the old story goes, he's like, nah, no.
You were sent down from above by gods,
Yeah,
and we just
literally.
adopted you.
Yeah. And then he goes to the temple and finds out that Zeus is his father. And he's like, holy shit. Of all the
Yeah.
gods, it's Zeus. Alright. And then he has to be a hero, prove himself as a hero to be worthy of being considered a
Olympus.
god. And yeah, being part of Mount Olympus. And he has to find the trainer, Pete, played by Danny DeVito. And again, an iconic performance from a well known actor.
And I think I was like, this is my first ever like
Danny DeVito.
seeing Danny DeVito, like his performance. I was like, yeah. So I'm happy that I was like, as soon as I watched Batman Forever, was it Forever?
Batman Returns.
Where he was
Forever
Batman Returns.
is Jim Carrey.
My bad, my bad. After seeing Batman Returns, I was like, that's the goat guy
Yeah.
from Hercules.
Every time he pops up, I'm like, oh, that's Fail from Hercules. Whether it's, Batman or Matilda, I'm like, oh shit, it's Danny DeVito again. Cool.
Yeah.
You find out that Phil's kind of bitter because all the heroes he's trained, they didn't turn out so well. Like Homer, Odysseus, Theseus, and lastly Achilles. Achilles being the closest until someone nicked his ankle and he's like, ah, shit. There he goes.
By the way, like because of Troy, the movie Troy, I thought I thought the whole thing was real. When I thought like later on in my teens, I find out I was like, oh no, it was a mythical battle.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I mean, Troy did exist. Whether or not
Yeah.
a horse was used to infiltrate a city is out of the question. That's the
Yeah.
myth part of it. But yeah, it's an interesting thing when, like, I think Troy was a recent discovery too, like, in the 2000s. And you're like, huh, I wonder. And then you're like, nah, probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah. Hercules promises Phil, like, look, man, I can go the distance. And he's like,
Ah,
it's a good song.
it is. It is. It's such a fucking good song.
Him going
Ah.
to the temple and then him coming out of it, like, rejuvenated with, like, purpose and hope. You're like, such music to my ears. Literal, like, ear candy.
Yeah.
Then,
I mean, even like the training montage was kind of sick. Like, sure, it was short lived, but it's still good.
yeah. And then they have to go to Thebes, but before that, Hercules hears a damsel in distress, and that is Meg played by Susan Egan. And just like,
Well,
I think that's my earliest example of like, this cartoon is pretty. I'm feeling feelings.
feeling feelings in multiple places. No, but okay. Look, Meg was like one of the first ever girl characters that we know that kind of got us. It was like, oh, she's pretty, and then she started talking, and then we're like,
Fuck.
hi, you know.
Even honestly, even up to now, I'm just like, hi. And they're like,
Hi.
yeah.
Like, of course, we go with like the whole bad girl look now. I'm like, fuck. Meg started it all.
Right? Just the way the actress plays her, just like, again, as a kid, I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling these feelings. Now I'm
It's
like, oh, I get
read
it.
my lips. I'm like, okay.
Also, like the joke when Hercules was taking down that monster, he's like, "Stop right there."
The centaur guy.
Yeah, he's like,
And he
"Stop
was
right
like,
there, sir."
sir.
And I was like, "Ah, okay." Mythical anatomy, interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, you also found out Meg is with Hades because her soul is bound to him because she tried to save her lover, but that lover left her for another woman. And I was like, "How dare you? How
That was
dare you do
always
that to Meg?"
like, how would you leave that?
Right? And then they go off to Thebes, and Thebes is apparently New York in this universe. I was like, thought it would be Athens, but sure.
Yeah, I'm like, alright, sure, whatever.
Would you like a sundial? I was like, okay, sure.
Oh yeah, the dude selling like watches. I was like, what the fuck?
And it's here. If you can make it in Thebes, you can make it anywhere. Apparently, that's what the saying is.
Oh, that's okay.
Sure.
That's just pretty much New York.
Exactly. And Hercules rescues some kids, and like you think like, all right, I guess that's an easy job. And then out comes the Hydra, which is a mixture of like 2D and 3D.
And 3D, which was nuts.
Yeah.
Like watching it back, because I didn't have a word for 3D. I didn't know what the word 3D was.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's real and fake at the same time.
Yeah. This mix
Like
of,
that's what I would call it.
I do like this mix of hand drawn and CGI just to give this effect that just like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Do you know what I miss about like old Disney? Like Disney used to like show us behind the scenes on like how they do the animations, and they showed the animations of how they did the Hydra.
Yeah.
It was really cool, and they don't do that no more.
No.
I wish they kind of go back.
Yeah, I wish Disney Plus would upload those videos to the channel.
Yeah, like
It's
for
been a
sure,
while.
like inspiring animators who ever want to work for Disney,
Yeah.
or like any other studio. I think they would appreciate that kind of like behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. And then after this, Hercules is considered a hero, and we get Zero to Hero, and you're like, oh man, this
Yeah.
song slaps.
Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, but like rewatching this, I forgot how hard this fight goes.
Yeah.
Like him chopping off every head that he could find to a point where it just accumulated into like a shit ton of heads. I was like,
Like,
this thing goes hard for something that came out so like early in my life.
right?
I didn't deserve this yet. I wish I got this when I was a little bit older because I would have appreciated that scene a little bit more. I don't know. I found that scene really cool, and then he crushes it with a boulder, and then you're good.
Yeah. And then we get Zero to Hero, and you're like, again, I don't know why some people don't like the soundtrack. They
Don't?
yeah, it's again generational thing because they're always like, it's not comparable to the big three with Lion King, Little Mermaid, and Aladdin. But I was like, but it's its own thing. It doesn't have to live it up to those. It's its own thing, and it slaps really hard. Just fucking listen to the soundtrack. I'm begging you. I know
Yeah,
to each their
stop.
own, but like, come on, man. How can you not like Zero to Hero?
Man, everybody delusional and kind of biased to their childhoods.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of that too, but like, some things are just objectively pretty good, and this movie and the soundtrack that comes with it is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say this now. This soundtrack's way better than Aladdin. Fuck you guys.
Sure, I agree with that, with the exception
See?
of the Robin Williams numbers, because again,
Ah, yeah.
yeah. Did you like the Scar cameo?
Ah, yeah, where he's like posing,
Yeah.
and then he had like scar over his head. Ooh. So does that mean we got the time period for when Lion King was a thing?
No, I think it's just one of those like, oh, it's a hidden reference. It's like a hidden Mickey thing.
Yeah, I love that scene though where they're kind of showing him merch, and like you have like a Stretch Armstrong of like Hercules, but he does this instead.
Yeah. And then Meg has to seduce Hercules because Hades promises her freedom if she can get the job done. And you're like, I don't like where this is going. How could you
Neither
use
do I.
Meg like this?
Dude, remember when like he's like again he's getting like his shit painted, and then there's like fangirls, and then they maul him, and then as soon as he gets out, Meg's there, and then the amount of sex appeal Meg had, I was like,
Right?
hi.
It's like how can so much sex appeal come from one 2D animation? I don't understand it. Didn't click with me as a kid. Now
Yeah,
I'm just like,
same here.
okay.
Yeah, there's like if you look hard enough in Reddit, you'll find a lot of those.
Anyway, they spend a day together, and Meg's like, I can't be having feelings with the guy I'm trying to fuck over. But feelings are strong, and even the muses are like, can't deny them. And we got the best love song in Disney.
I agree.
Uh,
This is the best.
Yeah.
This is the best.
like,
All the notes just hit.
yeah.
I sing this in karaoke all the fucking time.
It's also shorter than I remember. I always think it's like 5 minutes long, and then I look at Spotify, I was like, oh, it's like 2 minutes. Shit.
Yeah. And that's all it. Like that's all we need, short and sweet. And I was like, oh, it's so good. It hit like the heartstrings so well. I was like, I wish a woman like this would be in love with me. You know?
I remember in 2020, at the height of lockdown, like the actress released a sing-along version of the song.
Yeah, like her like walking around her kitchen
Yeah,
and everything. Yeah.
and I'm still like, God damn, her vocals still has it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But Hades comes to Meg, and as they're talking, Phil's like, well, shit, I have to tell the boy this. But Hercules doesn't believe it, and he even hits poor Phil, and you're like, how could you? He gave you everything. But Hercules is in the way of Hades' plan to unleash the Titans on Olympus once again. So he makes a deal with them, like, look, if you give me your strength for 24 hours, I will ensure Meg doesn't get harmed. If she gets harmed, you have your strength back. And he makes a deal and loses all his strength. And he realizes, like, oh, Meg's just been using me. Shit.
Yeah. And we have this whole downfall part of the movie.
Yeah.
Him and like Phil have like a disagreement, and he just goes off on his own.
Yeah. And then after giving his strength, Hades unleashes the Titans, and they're all like prepping themselves up, like we're gonna burn him, we're gonna blow him away. And then Hades is like, it's the other way around.
Olympus
by
is
the
that way. I love that shit.
way.
This is like just a long pause. Like, Zeus.
Just like, I'll kill him. You're like, okay.
Good on you, buddy.
Did it dawn on you as a kid when you were playing God of War? You're like, oh, these are the things that were gonna kill Zeus in the movie. Like Gaia and God of War, you're like, oh, the thing I'm climbing is the thing that tried to kill Zeus in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but we took care of that part. Yeah.
And especially the giant Cyclops. I was like, I remember you from God of War. God, your death was disgusting.
Yeah, every time it's a Cyclops, of course you know what a big weak point is.
Yeah. But yeah, Hercules is like, whether I have my strength or not, I still have to be a hero. And he tries to take the Cyclops on its own. You're like, as a kid, I was like, I can't watch this. Even as an adult, I'm like, this is pretty hard to watch. Not gonna lie. And then Meg has to get Phil to once again be Hercules' corner man to hype him up. And like, you can do this. And Hercules gets to do an Empire Strikes Back on the Cyclops, and he falls to his death. But it strikes up a pillar, and Meg takes a hit, and you're like, shit, not Meg.
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, don't fucking dare. Well, she did die, technically.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, why would you
And
do
then,
this to
like,
this
well,
character?
that was the promise, right? That was the contract. If something went happen to Meg,
Yeah.
he gets his strength back, and he does. And now he's more pissed off than ever.
Right. And then he goes to Olympus to free Zeus, and Zeus and him banish the Titans once again, this time to outer space. But Hades is like, I get one
Just
prize.
nicking the Orion's belt,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. But Hades is like, I have one prize, and that's Meg's soul. And you see the Fates cut the hair, and you're like, your heart's broken because you're like, no, not Meg. Why? Why this one, Disney? Why?
Why the hot one?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, like, hey, when somebody calls you Wonder Boy, you gotta just, your knees just melt. And I say it's worth going through the Sea of Styx for that.
Yeah. And Hercules.
River of Styx, my bad.
Yeah, River of Styx, where Hercules has to rescue Meg, and then in return for Meg's soul, he agrees to stay there, and Hades is like, alright, you'll be dead though, that's not a problem. And he's like, ah, sucker. And as their faces are gonna cut his hair, it starts glowing yellow, or sorry, gold. And they're like, oh, shit, that means he's a god. Fuck.
Yeah, you just see him like coming out with like Meg in his arms, and then like Hades trying to bargain with him, just hits him in the face.
Yeah. And he tries to bargain with him again. He touches Meg, and Hercules is like, fuck this guy, and just throws him to the river Styx. And you're like, alright.
Well, at least we know that Hades ain't dying there yet, but like,
Yeah.
which is kind of a sucky deal because Disney made Hades a bad guy when in actual Greek mythology he was one of the okay ones.
Yeah.
From all the gods.
Yeah,
like,
so-
Zeus was an asshole, Poseidon was an asshole.
Ares is an asshole.
Yeah, and then Hades was like, I like my wife.
Yeah.
You know, he's just in the underworld, like, I like my wife.
Like, funny how Disney has a way of twisting things around. But yeah, Hercules is deemed the true hero and a god, and he's offered a place in Olympus, and he's like, I can't, because a life, even an immortal life without Meg, means nothing. You're like, damn. True love. Yeah, I agree.
I would give up god-like powers to be with a woman like that.
Phil finally has his wish of his hero being painted in the stars, and it's a pretty happy ending. And like,
Yeah.
as a kid and even as an adult, I'm like, wow, that is pretty satisfying. It's a satisfying ending right there.
Yeah.
I do like the meme that kind of ruins it all. It's like, it's a happy ending, and then at the bottom, you see Kratos. And you're like,
You know, he's like standing looking up at Mount Olympus.
yeah, you're like, oh well, shit.
Ah, fuck.
But yeah, what would you rate Hercules? I can kind of see where this is going.
Yeah, it's a 10. Probably one of my favorite Disney movies besides Treasure Planet. I don't know if we did a review on that yet.
We did.
Um,
With Cap.
we did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what the Rotten Tomatoes score is for Treasure Planet?
Isn't it high?
It is, but it's not high enough for my liking.
Really? What is
Why, is it like a 50%?
It's
60.
69.
bullshit? Oh,
Hey,
nice. I mean,
nice.
nice, but bullshit.
My bad. But yeah, like, besides Treasure Planet, this is like another 10 out of 10 from Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the music slaps, the story and the narrative's good, the characters are great, and I connect with everyone. Like, sure, Hercules is great, then you get Meg, you get Phil, Hades is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there are little parts, but, what was their name again? Pain and,
Panic.
Panic. Pain and Panic. They were pretty funny. And with, like, the Hercules show,
Yeah.
it was fun seeing them, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a good movie. I don't know if there's a sequel.
I think the show is the sequel, if I remember
But yeah.
correctly.
Again, music's amazing. Voice acting's amazing. Meg is amazing. Sorry. You can tell that we're kind of like, oh, this was our early crush.
Yeah.
And sorry, we're very biased. But yeah, she was hot.
First of many Disney crushes.
That's true. Shigo, we're coming after you next.
You want us to watch all of Kim Possible? If you have enough
No,
time-
because they had like one movie.
That
was
is
pretty
true.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really can't find any faults. Really. 10 out of 10. As everything you mentioned, great hero, great villain. One of the last true examples of Disney having a great villain, because the villains nowadays in Disney animated movies are just like, yeah, they're alright. But
Yeah.
truly a different era when you had people like Hades, Scar, Jafar, Maleficent, and Gaston. You're just like, those are really good villains. Nowadays, you're just like, again, you're just like, eh. Like, I forgot who
Eh.
was the villain in the latest in Encanto. Was it John Leguizamo?
I think in Encanto, like the main villain there was the grandma.
Yeah, I think it was just family disputes. Like, I get it,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I miss the old Disney villains.
It's the same with the Turning Red. Like, again, it's the mom.
Yeah,
Like the main villain nowadays is just family, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
I guess Disney was like, we can't keep killing the family. We'll just make them the villains. Like, alright, sure. But yeah, 10 out of 10 from both of us. It's a pretty good animated movie, and if you haven't seen this, I don't know why. Give it a try, because you'll definitely be satisfied with the results.
Yeah, if you got Disney Plus, just use it. Fuck. Watch early 2000s movies
Yeah,
from Disney, like Atlantis, Hercules,
Treasure Planet.
Emperor's New Groove. Yeah, like all that shit. I'm like, they were so good.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Disney stopped with that department because I would love to see it again.
Same here. But yeah, Disney Plus recently had like a video of like Once Upon a Studio where all their animated characters came to life and had like a group photo and everybody was there. Literally everybody was there. Even Jim from Treasure Planet, Gaston, Scar, Hercules, Meg, and you're like, ah, I feel justified. I feel vindicated that they're acknowledging these characters. It's a fun short if you guys haven't seen it yet.
Wait, why were they kind of sad though? Were they closing down that studio?
No, I think it's just a celebration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. They seemed kind of sad at the start. I was like, what the fuck's happening?
yeah. I guess because not a lot of people do 2D anymore. Who knows?
Yeah.
Then again, Raya and the Last Dragon were there, so I don't get that. But yeah, I guess we have nothing else to say except for that's been our video on Hercules, the Disney version. If you guys like this one and our videos, please give them a like, subscribe to the channel, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments and reactions to trailers, and Spotify to hear us on the go. I have no social, but this dude does.
Oh, you can find me at JohnJM_ on Instagram. It is my account.
And until the next video, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.